Well, I want to go over this rumor that's often been repeated in, I don't know, wherever. Kitco, maybe not Kitco, maybe it's King World News or Alex Jones or Jesse Ventura or Alex, whatever, Gerald Salente or whatever. About the 33 tons, metric tons, I guess it is, of gold from Ukraine that supposedly was stolen by the Western banksters. And actually, here's where the news story originated from. Iskra News, actually a Russian news source. It says at 2 a.m. this morning, March 7th, I guess that was a couple years ago, whatever it was, a unmarked transfer plane was on the runway east of Kiev. According to the airport staff, before the plane came to the airport, 4 trucks and 2 Volkswagen minibuses arrived, all with the truck license plates missing. So, let me put it this way. Actually, there's a lot of times things are being transported all over the place, and they don't need to go through all this, rigmarole of taking off the license plates and that type of stuff. But it's, you just, and it's like here you're just seeing this witness that says this. They don't even know what the hell's inside the boxes, but it's all, you can see the way the story's written. It's suspect as all hell in the first place. Now, let's say the gold is taken out of Ukraine. It could have been Switzerland, more than likely, right? But who the hell knows? But I'm also going to point out a couple other stories other than this. I'm just going to mention them here verbally. But if you remember, there was this small clip that was floating all around YouTube channels and stuff like that being repeated about BlackRock. BlackRock, it was in Ukraine, and they showed people running on the streets that had like American-style camouflage uniforms, the boots, the M6 or the type of weapons, the helmets, and they're running around in broad daylight. And somebody was yelling "BlackRock, BlackRock," and I said to myself, God, if that is not a super staged event to the max, they would never be doing that out in the broad daylight like that in uniform. Oh my God. I mean, anybody who believes that garbage, forget about it, man. But there's going to be plenty of people believe it anyway. But if you look at the surface of this story about the gold, it says 15 people in black uniforms, masks, and body armor stepped out. Why wear masks? Some armed with machine guns, and they loaded the plane with more than 40 heavy boxes. Then after that, a mysterious man arrived and entered the plane. A mysterious, they got to add that adjective in here, like a mysterious man. Somebody entered the plane, But if this story's even true, but you got to figure 33 tons of gold, right? It's in boxes. Are they in cardboard boxes? No, they're in wood boxes. No, more than likely they're in heavy steel plate boxes. So you figure each box weighed 2,000 pounds, or if it was a metric ton, it was 2,200 pounds. And how are they going to lift that? So no mention of any forklifts or anything going on here, too. So the story's coming from a Russian source. And then another Russian source story that was about a U.S. destroyer. I forgot the damn name of it. It was so ludicrous. I was laughing my ass off at this story. He said that all 200-something members of the USS destroyer resigned after this incident by a Russian anti-electronic warfare plane that flew over the destroyer, and it rendered all their weaponry and all their computer screens went blank on a destroyer. That was a Russian source. And then all the sailors aboard the U.S. destroyer said they wanted to resign. I was like, yeah, man, trust these freaking news stories coming out of freaking Russia. They'll say anything. I mean, come on. I mean, there's like propaganda coming out from the West, and there's propaganda coming out from Russia too. And I know about the Orange Movement, or Orange Revolution, whatever it was funded by Soros. There's a lot of garbage going on, but my point on this whole damn thing is all these rich bastards are a bunch of crooks, and we should not take one side or the other. They're having us diametrically opposed and pick a choice, and they're channeling us into two opposing groups. And the hell with that crap. They're all the enemy. How's that? So anyway, the guy that repeated this damn story was from the Iskra News, and one of the main guys who was pushing it through was this Mikhail Kosudowski. He runs, he's an Canadian economist and founder of the Center for Research on Globalization. He's actually an anti-globalist, but he also paints the picture where globalization is all from the Jewish sector. So like the Jews kind of, well, the Tribune, let me say the Jews, let me say the in 2005 article in the Jewish Tribune criticized globalresearch.ca from Canada, rife with anti-Jewish conspiracy theories and Holocaust denial. And Brene Brith, Canada, complained that there were comments on the forum that question how many Jews died in the Holocaust. And I always get questions on that. But, I mean, well, I'm not going to get into that. That could be a separate subject, but I might get into that and tell you a couple things I think about that. But he also said, so Mikhail Kazodarsky responded saying that he was of Jewish heritage and that he would be one of the last people to condone anti-Semitic views. But he almost seems to hint that everything's a big Jewish conspiracy. Now, I'm going to tell you this, that money, big money, is actually, there's a lot of people involved. It's almost like, well, you look at Vlad. Vlad did pretty well himself. He's not Jewish, right? There's also like Al Gore involved in the globalist and green movement. Is he Jewish now? There's a lot of people like that. There's also Gorbachev with the Gorbachev USA Foundation. Gorbachev USA Foundation actually is, a globalist think tank about environmental controls, which clean earth and clean air is a good thing, but the way they're doing it is they're trying to get rid of property rights. So, anyway, this guy here, Mikhail Kazodarsky, he says like an English accent or something. He talks real cute and stuff. You also see him a lot on the Alex Jones show or whatever with Gerald Celente and all this garbage. He said he runs this global research, so they're pretty much, they get any kind of information that kind of supports what they seem to be, what they want, and, they'll get it from, suspicious Russian sources, which was the source of the 33 tons of gold coming out of Ukraine. I mean, you don't even know. I mean, maybe it is out of Ukraine, but you don't even know if it, nobody even knows this. Nobody knows this, and if it is, you don't even know if it's in Switzerland or the USA, and you don't even know if they lent them money, what the kind of interest rate there is. For instance, back in the day, during the Vietnam War, Rockefellers lent Russia money under Lend-Lease, and they sold them all kinds of equipment. Actually, Russia in turn helped the North Vietnamese. A lot of people don't know this stuff. And then the Rockefellers, benefited a lot by, what was being sold to Russia because they were getting the money, and the Russians had the money because it was lent to them by the U.S. government. And then later, the loans were forgiven. So, I mean, even if Ukraine is lent money, if it's taken over by Russia or something like that, are they going to get the money back? Nah. If the Ukraine government is lent money and it happens where, the West has the main influence, does that mean they're going to get screwed over? Not necessarily. They can freaking probably have most of the loans forgiven for all you know, or easily paid back with a lot of companies and industry that moves in there to develop the place. So, I mean, you really don't know, but I'm just telling you that the source of this story about the 33 tons of gold that they claim was missing, was taken out of Ukraine by the Western banksters, it's repeated everywhere. King World News, everywhere, every freaking stupid alternative thing out there with gold and money and everything, except me, is telling you that they took this gold, and you don't even know it because the whole freaking source of the story is from that one thing. Now, as far as, this was written by this Mikhail, whatever his name is, he runs this globalresearch.ca. Now, one of the things you can pretty much sum up what globalresearch.ca is about, everything you would need to know about global research is in one little line here. North Korea is what they said. North Korea, a land of human achievement, love, and joy. If you believe that, fine. Whatever. If you're North Korean, you'll believe that, but you haven't lived outside of North Korea too much. So that's one thing. So anyway, but as far as like crookery that goes on all over the world and also let's talk about in Ukraine, it was Viktor Yanukovych, whatever his name is. This was like his palace, right? I mean, this palace makes the White House or anything that the Wall Street's got like pretty damn poor. And, you look at the average wealth of the Ukrainian citizen, they don't have a lot of money, man, per capita. For this guy to get all this kind of wealth, this was his palace. This is not all his wealth. He had billions, right? So maybe he was a competitor for George Soros himself. But, Viktor Yanukovych, supposedly the freely elected leader of Ukraine, the guy had to be corrupt, man, because he made a hell of a lot of money too fast, and he's not the only one. I'm telling you, I know the Western elite, but my point is, it's all of us against the elite on both sides. Don't get channeled into two opposing groups for their own freaking little games, because the alternative media, for the most part, is controlled from the top. It is. This Viktor Yanukovych. I mean, so what? He got ousted. Look at this shit. Ukraine could easily pay for all their freaking whatever they got to do to keep their services running and their infrastructure get rebuilt. All the crap this guy accumulated over the years. I mean, look at this boat that's in. I mean, even show the inside of it. This is like a whole reconstruction of a ancient wooden galleon on his own private lake, in his mansion grounds. He's got a fleet of cars. This is only part of them. I mean, this stuff is worth millions. He probably competes with Jay Leno easily in just this area. You know what I mean? So here you go. The Road to Success. He wrote the book. The Road How I Can Rip People Off. Viktor Yanukovych. Now, this guy was also a guy that advocated that Russia should be the language of Ukraine. So that's a major step of freaking making Ukraine part of Russia. So who the hell is he freaking? It's almost like, come on, you want to make that as a comparison? I mean, like you talk about, he's the president of Ukraine. He says Russia should be the language of the Ukraine. That was one of his freaking things he said. So, where did he run to after, he got caught with all his freaking wealth and stuff and they ousted him? He ran to Russia. He wasn't working for the U.S. banksters, So, I mean, he got crooks on both sides, right? Anyway, so here's a couple pictures of his wealth, and here's his big horse and stuff like that. That's his mansion in the background. All kinds of gold-plated toilets or solid gold toilets and stuff. And then you got, Mikhail Khodorkovsky, whatever his name is that his name? Yeah. And they got his net worth as $100 million. Actually, it's probably more like $170 million. Now, he's way down from his billions. I think the Forbes originally had him as like the 15th wealthiest man in the world before Putin slammed him. But I mean, I'll look at it, if you say this guy was a crook, yeah, maybe he was a crook, but so was Putin. They're all crooks. Who cares about siding with one or the other? Who cares, right? And, the main point I actually want to make on this, too, about siding in, making one point or the other, siding with one side or the other, is that there is a focusing, like, in other words, if you're an anti-globalist, say, for instance, I'm an anti-globalist, right? But on what you normally see from most of the alternative, I'll call them that, alternative media, is anti-globalist patriots, people for individual rights, are also being channeled into the areas where the entire world is being pushed into globalism because of a major Jewish conspiracy theory. That's not true. There's a major conspiracy out there, but it's not primarily Jewish. It's like all kinds of people. If you look at the Communist Party elite in China, they're not freaking Jewish. For crying out loud. What's going on even in Russia? Is Vlad Jewish? Is Al Gore Jewish? No. I mean, there's Jews involved in high up areas. And then there's also people like Soros who, he's against both Russia and the United States. He thinks they're both bullies. So, I mean, I don't even know what, there's like all kinds of independent thought going on in the Jewish community itself. And even amongst the people that are globalists, that are even Jewish, that are in amongst, that are part of, the globalist think tank, or whatever it is, they don't even agree with each other. But, if you're looking at who's the globalist, there's loads of people that are globalists that are not Jewish. Loads of them. And, you say name one, there's plenty. There's plenty in Russia, there's plenty in China. And, you say Putin's is an anti-globalist. No, he's not an anti-globalist. His problem with the West is he doesn't like being told what to do by them. He does not like the deal he's getting with Russia, and he's an aggressive guy himself. That's really his beef. It's not like he's not an anti-globalist. He wants Russia to have a major or the number one position in the global empire. That's the beef he's got. It's not like he's an anti-globalist. So, everybody says he's an anti-New World Order. Nah, he's not anti-New World Order at all. It's bullshit. So, I mean, but the problem is when you're being an anti-globalist and you're a patriot, a lot of people are being channeled into being anti-Jewish at the same time. And you see, doesn't have to be that way, but that's how the opposition led from the top is channeling people. It's like if you're going to be an anti-globalist and a patriot and for individual rights and things like that and against global controls, it does not mean you have to be anti-Jewish or believe in all these anti-Jewish conspiracies out there, because there is conspiracies and there are some Jews that are involved in it, but it is not a Jewish conspiracy the way the stupid alternative media is presenting it. And they are constantly always pointing the finger at Jews all the time and not pointing the finger elsewhere at all, period. I bring up one example, his brother, quote unquote, Nathaniel. I don't know what the hell his problem is, because I can easily, you can easily have a channel on all the crimes of Viktor Yanukovych, he's not a Jew, right? You know what I mean? Viktor Yanukovych. Or you can easily have a channel on all the crimes of the Chinese elite, or what Vladimir Putin does, or people around Vladimir Putin, or what's going on even in South America in some of the corrupt governments that are hooked in with drug cartels and things like that. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the world. And you say, wait, well, they're not globalists? Yeah, they got global drug empires. Come on, man. What the hell? What do you think's going on, man? The deal is, I'll tell you this, everybody at the top cooperates with each other. It's almost like there's no nationalities, there's no religions or nothing. It's like you become a different breed of something. It's like you no longer are any group that you've been affiliated with when you were born, like a regular person would be. It's like when you get up to a certain stratosphere, your whole game is money and power, and it's like a hollow pit that can't be satisfied, and you just deal with whatever goes which way you can to get whatever you want. It's like this Viktor Yanukovych, I mean, look at all the shit these guys got. It's like, that wasn't enough for him, man. He's got, I'm showing a couple pictures here. There's a hell of a lot more pictures of this shit this guy's got. It ain't nothing for this guy, man. But, he's not Jewish, right? Is he Jewish? No. Yeah. So, say Soros was trying to knock this guy out of power. So, does that make Soros the good guy, bad guy? I don't know. I mean, it's one shithead fighting another piece of garbage, So, but, the one trap I see is, first off, I just want to repeat that again about the 33 tons of gold in Ukraine. You don't even know where the hell it is. If it's out of Ukraine, into Ukraine, if it's out of Ukraine, you don't know where it is. That whole story is just some shit that some Russian newspaper made up. And if you read the way the story's written, and it's like, unmarked transport plane was on a runway at the east of Kiev, according to airport staff. Before the plane came to the airport, 4 trucks and 2 Volkswagen minibuses arrived. All trucks. How did they even know there was gold in there? You know what I mean? How did they even know? How did they know? How did they even know? If that, they're just making a story up. It's bullshit. After that, a mysterious man arrived in it. A mysterious man. Somebody arrived and entered the plane. Put mysterious in front of it, right? They had black uniforms on and masks and body armor. What the hell? I mean, this sounds like total bullshit to the max. And the other thing is, they easily transport gold and very valuable things all the time. There's all kinds of transports of valuable, not just gold, but there's also isotopes. There's special documents. There's a lot of different other materials that require security. Why would you go through all this crap and make it look like, let's take the license plates off? And just freaking, it could be the military. The military could have just drove up there, normal military trucks. I can tell you right now, I remember, I'll tell you one story. This is no bullshit. When I was in the military, I had to fly. You're going to think it's bullshit. I forgot. You're going to think it's bullshit, but it's not bullshit. I was the enlisted guy in charge of the detachment. You're going to think it's bullshit, but it's not bullshit. I got to repeat this again, man. This sounds too way out. The actual, the Korean banks ran short on cash, and this is back in the 80s. They were short on U.S. cash, which meant that the U.S. soldiers couldn't, I don't know why the hell they needed U.S. cash. The U.S. soldiers wanted greenbacks. Actually, they spend greenbacks in South Korea, right? Well, we had to fly up to Yokota Air Base, go to a bank, and we picked up, I forgot how many millions of dollars what it was, but it was $1.2 million in one box. And you know what kind of box it was in? A regular wooden Connex box. It's not bullshit, man. I know people can say it's bullshit, but it's not. I remember this, man. It was like one of the weirdest things I ever did. Weird for as weird goes. And we put them on a C-130, flew it over into Korea, and we put it in a Hummer. We drove it over to the freaking bank. And I know I had like gazillion tons of ammunition on me, man. And they chose me to freaking guard the freaking thing with a couple other people. But it was all like incognito. It wasn't even like unmarked this. It was just another stupid Hummer that was driving lots of cash around right to the freaking bank. So that's a true story. You're not going to believe it. It's true as a heart attack. But that's what happened. So they don't like go. We didn't put black masks on and take the license plates off or nothing. So that's another thing I kind of made me think about this, because when you do something, you just you make it look like another day, like another walk in the park, and you don't attract any attention to yourself. That's why I know this stupid story about this. You're gonna think the story I'm telling you is bullshit, but that's not bullshit. I think it was $6 million total, but there were several Connex boxes, and one of them had 1.2 in it, just one of them. But there was like different marked bills. We had to fly them in there. But you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do this like this. Just like the story that came out from the Russian stupid media, whatever the hell it is, about it was like a 10-second video clip all over YouTube. BlackRock, and you see some people look with American uniforms, American boots, camouflage, deuce gear, and helmets and flak jackets with American weapons running through the street in broad daylight, and somebody's yelling, BlackRock, BlackRock. I'm like, yeah, right. If that wasn't staged to the max, you don't do shit like that. It bring all kinds of attention yourself. It's so stupid. The other thing was the electronic jamming of the U.S. destroyer and everybody resigning. Oh, fuck. Come on. And, the thing is, everybody's taking this as fact now. That they take this as fact. Considering the source, it's probably total bullshit. But, one of the main guys that pushed this story was this guy, Mikhail Khodorkovsky. And actually, he runs this damn global research place, Global Research Center for Research on Globalization. But, like I said, one of the lines out of him is, North Korea is a land of human achievement, love, and joy. Yeah, right. But, there's even many Canadians. I saw some remarks they even said about the Center for Research on Globalization. They call it the asshole of Canada. The asshole of Canada. It's so screwed up. Like I was in New Jersey. We used to call the Star Ledger of Newark, the newspaper. We used to call it the Red Star Ledger of Newark. Like, even though I'm from up the Northeast, I'm not exactly into what the communists infiltrated freaking money people up there like Bloomberg and all that other garbage. So anyway, I just want to point out, we are being channeled into diametrically opposed forces. And, if you're an anti-globalist, it doesn't mean, don't go buying into all this shit about the globalization is a Jewish thing that's going on. No, it isn't. It's all kinds of stuff. And there are some people that are Jews that are involved in it. But like I said, when you get up to a certain stratosphere, you actually get away from whatever your roots are. There's a lot of stuff like that, man. You just can't figure it out that easy. It's like us against the top people in the world. And like, Yanukovych, he was one of them. So, where'd he run to? Did he run to New York City? No, he ran over to Moscow by Putin, man. He's one of his boys, man. So, who cares? I'm not siding with any of them. That's my point. And I'm not buying into all the Jewish conspiracy theories because I smell a setup there too. It's too convenient. It's not that simple. Actually, I'm just going to leave you with this thought. The reason the whole thing about the United States when it came apart was came together. Let's hope it doesn't come apart. But the whole thing is when the United States, was brought about. The thing is, why? What was the main thing that they were concerned about? It was when people get too much power. So it was division of power and limited government. That's what you got to stick with. That's why I'm an anti-globalist. Because a globalist, the global regime, is probably going to have way too much power. You're not going to have voice in it. It's not going to have a division of power. It's not going to represent the people. And actually, in the United States, when we had the federal government was formed, they tried to make sure that most of the government was localized in the states itself, right? But to be that way and think that way doesn't mean you are anti-Semitic. And see, that's how they're freaking trying to make two groups. They're trying to make it look like all this stuff with globalization is coming from the Jewish camp. And it's not. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. The alternative media is playing games left and right. Left and right. So use a lot of common sense on this stuff. And let's hope the United States doesn't break up like Igor Panarin, the professor from Russia, hopes it would happen. Jerk, you know. I don't hope freaking Russia breaks up either, you know what I mean? I hope Russia stays together. Just hope they get their crap together and they get some leaders that help the local economy versus enriching the rich bastards on the top in Russia. And I hope that's the way it happens here in the United States too. We don't need people like Yanukovych over here, and we don't need Soros, and we don't need Putin. We don't need a lot of yo-yos that are freaking running a deal. We don't need Bloomberg either. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Over and out.